All right, welcome everybody to the Joe Wentz Project TV channel right here on YouTube. Thank you for watching. What is today's date? Today is, I believe it's the 26th. Yes, it is the 26th, man. It is Eddie Van Halen's birthday. Happy birthday, Eddie Van Halen, man. Awesome. So on today's little guitar showcase, none other than the EVH Striped. I mean, that's just fits the occasion, right? I mean, come on, man. I've been wanting one of these guitars since I was a teenager. And, of course, before he come out with his own line here, everybody was doing their own thing, and they look fantastic. There's a bunch of great ones out there, man. Of course, I don't have that kind of talent to do anything like that, man. There's no way. But when these, well, let's see. Let me back up. Excuse me, because I think y'all can put in the live chat right here, because I'm not real knowledgeable on this stuff. Did Charvel come out with the stripe line first? Was it Charvel? And then later, Eddie got his own line, EVH, right? And the Charvels were really high. I think they were made in USA, though. I think that's what it was, I believe. And so it was great quality and stuff. But I remember those being around for quite some time. And I was like, I'd love to get one, but man, it's too rich for my blood, you know. So, and then later when I saw, these come out, oh man, it was. I said, I've got to get one of those, man. Made in Mexico, of course. What year is this? This is a 2013 model, man. Really? Holy crap! And so. American Musical Supply, again, I know I talk about them a lot in these little videos here, but that's who I do business with. Had them. There was, coming soon, the EVH Stripe series, and I was like, oh god. I was like, man, I got to get one. I don't care if I have to work double overtime or something. It doesn't matter. I'm getting one. And, of course, the one I wanted was this one, because this is the most recognizable, right? And they had the white and black, and they actually had the Bumblebee model. This was on back order. Excuse me. So I went on there, and it's like, pre-order now, the whole thing. So I did all that, and I waited, and it got to the date, and I was like, all right, man, here we go. And it got pushed back further. So I waited and waited. Again, got to the date. I was like, yeah, it got pushed back further again. That's when I got the telly that I did the video, a couple of videos back, 2 or 3 videos back from this, the 50s Road Worn telly. That's when I got that. Not long after I got the telly, I think a few more months passed. It was like in February or March. It was like spring of that year, I guess. These finally became available. And, and man, I had to beg and plead with my wife. I said, look, I know I just got that telly not long ago, but this is finally available. Please, can I get this? And she was like, okay, but you're not going to get it, and I was like, okay. And finally got them. And, man, so when I got the guitar, I guess I had it for a week. Had it for about a week. And it got to where when I was playing it, it sounded like this. And that was with the distortion all the way up, the volume all the way up. I had the distortion cranked on the 5150 all the way, and it still. I said, what is wrong with this thing, man? And so I took it to a friend of mine who works and repairs works and repairs guitars. I get it right here in a minute. And so he called me like a day or two later, and he said, I found out your problem. And I was like, was it a bad input jack? I thought it was something simple. He goes, oh, no, the pickup's bad. I was like, oh, man. And I said, well, can you just replace the pickup? And he said, I could. He said, but I don't think you want me to do that. These guitars have a special the pickup in here is not your average everyday pickup. It's specially made for this guitar, is what he told me. And he was right. And I said, okay. He said, if you still got the box, you haven't had the guitar long, it should still be under warranty, send it back. And so I did. I sent it back, and they sent me another one. And ever since then, haven't had a problem. And it is a great playing guitar. I believe the Wolfgang Special pickups are just a touch hotter than this. I mean, again, in the live chat, if you're in there, I think I want to say the Wolfgang Specials are like 16. Y'all let me know. I can't remember. I want to say they're like 16s, I think. And so this one is just a little bit less than that. Not much, man. So I'm sure there's somebody out there that would know. So I've always been a huge Van Halen fan, and Eddie is the one that, oh yeah, I like the shirt. See there? I'm all Eddie'd out today, right? It's his birthday. He's 64 today, but Eddie is the reason that I wanted to play. Even, how bad is this, man? Even my phone case has got the stripes on it. How bad is that? So I first saw a guy play in a band at the lake where my parents live. He was actually playing a Fender Strat. I never played guitar in my life. I was 16. This was the summer of '86, and excuse me. So he's warming up. The band's warming up, and he's just sitting there, just doing just different stuff. He's doing stuff like that, and I'm just like, what in the hell? How is he doing that? So I guess that guy was the first initial spark, right? Because I was like, kind of on the board. I was like, yeah, that's cool, man, but, oh, man, I'll never be able to do nothing like that, So me and a buddy of mine that was with me at the time, we walked up, and the band, like I said, was getting set up. And this guy was nice enough to just stop during he was doing his own little sound check, while the rest of the band was in, the drummer's getting his drums together, the bass is over there doing his stuff, the singer's doing check, check. Check one, check. That's all you heard. Check one, check, check, check one. That's how he kept doing that for like 30 minutes. I was like, God almighty, can he say something different? It reminded me of that Tom Hanks episode on Saturday Night Live. Check one, sibilance. Y'all remember that? And so I kind of just put that out. I just kind of, I said, I ain't worried about that guy. He's, So I asked the guitar player. I remember his name was Max. Man, it just popped in my head. And I said, hey, man, I introduced myself. And he was like, hey, how you doing? And so I'd say at the time, this guy was probably in his early 20s. I was 16. So when I was 16, he looked a lot older than that. But he was in his early 20s or right at 20 because he was going to Appalachian State University. I remember him saying that. And he had the mullet, and he had a mustache, and he had the scarf around his neck like Eddie always does, stuff like that. But he's playing a Fender Strat, and it had a humbucker and 2 single coils. And the body was like a blue sparkle kind of thing with the white pick guard, right? So he's sitting there warming up, and I introduced myself, me and my buddy. I said, man, I don't mean to bother you, but we were, walking across over here, and y'all doing y'all's thing, and I said, can we just check you out while you warming up? He said, yeah, sure, I don't care. He was so nice, man. And I had a little jam box. Anybody remember those? That's what we called them when we was growing up, or ghetto blasters or whatever, but I always called it a jam box. And I had a cassette in there, and I said, can I record you warming up? And he was blown away. He goes, you want to record me doing this? And I said, yeah, if you don't mind. And he said, yeah, I don't care. So I did it, and I kept that cassette for years. I don't know where it is now. I wish I would have kept it. And he's warming up, and I won't never forget this. He He said, what do you want me to play? And I said, I don't know. I didn't know any guitar songs. At that point in my life, I was listening to like old school rap and whatever. Well, he does this right here. I don't know if I'll do it justice, but he goes. He plays that. And at the time, I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. I had no idea who that was, but he nailed it. And I was like, yeah, I didn't know who it was, but it sounded cool as hell. It wasn't until many years later, not many years later, many months later, I'm sorry, that when I first got Van Halen's first album that I heard that riff. And I was like, oh, that's what that guy was playing. I didn't know at the time. I was just, I had no clue. I was green as grass with that stuff. But he was playing different riffs and stuff. I had no idea who they were, but I was just mesmerized to watch his hands, how his hands would move and everything. And everything was just perfect. Everything was in time. It was just awesome how he was getting those sounds and the harmonics. That's a poor way of doing it. Let me see. That's better. So, get your crap together, boy. And I've been in here for over an hour trying to get stuff together here. So my fingertips are barking, man. They're sore. So I apologize for that crappy example. It was just, I was like, man, how and I didn't know what harmonics were, pinched harmonics. No, I didn't know. I just like, how did they get a high note down here? And by the way, the guitar, this is down, this is up. Okay. And I got taught that real quick because I would say that when I first started, well, I'm going up here. And the guy said, no. And I was like, calm down, man. I mean, it's because this is up because the notes go higher in pitch. Right? And then down. It's simple. I just didn't know at the time, So this guy played and all that, and we watched them play their gig that night, and I was blown away. And so later on, a few more months passed. Now we're like in November. And the local rock station on the radio, people were like, radio, what's that? Had a talent show like every Thursday or Friday morning. It was every Friday morning, and you called in. You called in and you displayed a talent over the phone, and it's kind of like anybody remember the Gong Show? That's going way back. That's like in the 70s, but it was kind of something like that. But you weren't on TV. You called in and you did something. People were calling in doing stupid stuff, and I always had a knack of being able to do sound effects, I used to get compared a lot to the guy in Police Academy, Michael Winslow, that guy that did all the sound effects. Now, I'm not as good as he is, but I would do like a walkie-talkie, like 10-4, do stuff like that, and then I'd do I would do drum stuff like that. And of course, the phone would help because the microphone part, with the phones we had then, was just like this one piece thing, and you could, it would amplify that. And so that's what I did. I called in on the radio thing, and I never called in anything. I got through. Like the first couple of attempts, I got through, and I was like, man, I can't believe I got through. And the guy's like, what's your talent? The call screener. I said, I'm going to do the intro to Walk This Way. And I didn't know at the time that Aerosmith had done that originally, God almighty, early on in their career. I just knew it from Run DMC, But that intro, the drums was always cool. And he's like, the intro to Walk This Way, okay, let's hear it. So I did the something like that. Again, that's a poor example, but that's what I did. And the guy kind of laughed. He goes, hang on a minute. And he puts me on hold. Then I'm on live on the air with the other couple DJs or whatever. It was a man and a woman. And I did it. And they asked me to do it again. I guess they thought I was joking. I did it again. And they said, hey, man, thanks for calling, And I said, okay. And they put me back to the call screener. And he goes, well, we'll call the winner this afternoon. What's your phone number and all that stuff? I said, okay. Gave him the phone number, mom, dad's phone number, and went to school. And quite a few of the kids, I heard you on the radio, man. And I thought that was cool. I was like, really? I didn't think nobody heard that crap. And so that was awesome. And I got home from school that afternoon, and it was just like perfect timing. I'd been home maybe 15 minutes. The phone rings. Hello? Yeah, can I speak to Joe Wentz, please? And I was like, who was this guy? And I was like, yeah, this is he. And he said, I'm so-and-so from WROQ here in Charlotte, and you were the winner of the contest this morning. And I was like, huh? He said, can you do that talent again? I said, yeah. So I did it again, did it again. And he laughed. He goes, that is incredible. He goes, okay, you won. And I said, what did I win? And he said, you won $100. And I about fell in the damn floor. 16 years old. I was working part-time, making $3.35 an hour. And you know how long I had to work to make $100, and it was a lot. So I won $100 right off the bat. And I said, when do I get the money? He said, it'll be 6 to 8 weeks. We'll send you a check. And man, that was the longest, 6.5 weeks rather, did it. I thought I'd never, it's like, man, come on. So we're getting closer to Christmas. So I finally got the check. They did. They sent it. $100, pay to the order of Joe Wentz, $100, man. So I went to the local music store and put $100 down on my first guitar. And right after that, I remember going down into the neighborhood where I grew up in. You can see that on my second channel. It's the newest video. You can see that. Went down to a buddy's house, and we were. He had a basketball goal there. Had like a half court, and we were sitting there playing. And one of the guys had a jam box sitting to the side. And at the time, I didn't realize who the band was. The cassette playing, I didn't know. It was Van Halen. It was Fair Warning, and it was. I was like, man, what song is this? It's pretty wild, And then I heard the opening thing to Mean Street, which I can't do that to save my ass. I don't see how he does it. That weird tapping intro thing, and I was sitting there listening to it, and I was like, what is that? And a couple of guys were, messing with me. Are you gonna learn how to do that, man, when you get a guitar and all this other stuff? And I was like, I don't know if I can do that, And I didn't know how that guitar is. I didn't know it was a guitar at the time. I thought maybe it was some kind of synthesizer or something that was just, how you play a guitar and it's got a kill switch. That's a poor example. I don't have a kill switch, but that's what it sounded like. It sounded like it was stuttering. I was like, oh, that's like a keyboard, and he's doing like a stutter effect. The guy's like, nah, that's a guitar. That's Eddie Van Halen. I was like, Eddie Van Halen? He goes, you ain't heard of Eddie Van Halen? I said, yeah, I mean, I had, but I didn't know who the hell he was. I remember seeing the videos on MTV, a couple of old videos that, from their 84 album. And so I was like, man, that sounds cool. So it intrigued me. I said, I'm going to the record store. And I did. I started buying Van Halen cassette albums. I'd get one a week. And I went all the way. The first one I bought, this is going to sound crazy, but this was in '86. So the first Van Halen album I got was 5150 with Sammy, and that was just, I was floored at that album. When I heard the opening song "Good Enough," I was like, oh my God, hello babe. I mean, come on, man. That gave me goosebumps. I was like, oh my God, how is he making that guitar do that? So from then I was locked, man. They had me right there. So then I went back and started with the first album, and then the next week I got Van Halen 2, and then so on and so on. And that's all I did was listen to Van Halen, man, for months and months, just rotating those cassette albums out in my cassette deck in my Chevy Cavalier. And that's how I got, the inspiration to play was from Eddie, and which was okay in the beginning. I just listened to that all the time. Just Van Halen. And I mean, over a period of, I'd say a good close to a year, maybe 8 months, I was getting burnt out because I was like in this Van Halen bubble. I wasn't listening to nothing else. And I just kept trying to practice these little licks over and over, which I still really can't do today. I can get little bits and pieces, but they're not spot on. And that's fine. It's there's only one Eddie. People can mimic him all they want, including me. But I'll never be able to do that spot on like what he does. I just can't do that. I get close, but that's okay. The reason I say that because that means I have to make it my own, put my own spin on it, right? And that's what you want to do. You want to be yourself. It's okay to have heroes, man. We all do. You take from everybody, your guitar heroes. You take a little something from each. You really do. And you try to mix it up and do your own thing. And hopefully that's what I'm doing, I hope. But anyway, that's how it started, man. The Van Halen bug. But excuse me. So there you have it. That's my story of how Eddie Van Halen influenced me to play guitar, and I feel like it's come full circle, man. I mean, I remember it went all the way back to the guy playing the Fender Strat, and then now, all these years later, I finally got a striped guitar. And, you know, it's like when you're a kid and you have when I was a kid, and you had a superhero, you wanted to be like the superhero, man. You wanted to wear a cape and, you know, try to do good and all that stuff, you know. And so that's the way I always looked at Eddie in a way. You know, he's my guitar superhero in a way, you know. He's done a lot of stuff, man, and thank God he's still around. He's one of the original, to me, one of the original guitar virtuosos that changed the game of guitar altogether. I mean, you know, you had Jimi Hendrix and then Eddie Van Halen in my book. That's just me. And that's you know, thank God he's still here. Are they going to do anything else? Really, in my opinion, I don't think they should. I think they should just, you know, leave the legacy up top where it's at. Just leave it alone, man. Now, if he wants to, of course, that's up to him. But I think he should just leave it, and he should enjoy his life, man. He's paid his dues. He's been around the world so many times. He's done this. He's done that. So it wouldn't bother me if they didn't do anything else. I'd be like, cool, man. There's plenty of music to listen to, plenty of videos on YouTube to watch, and there's plenty of people out there that keep the spirit of Van Halen alive too, you know. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me. Thank you for being here. My name is Joe for the Joe Wentz Project TV channel here on YouTube. It's time to play some tunes, man. We got a couple of tunes coming up next. Stick around for that. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you so much. Look at that chat. All right. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. So everybody have a great rest of the weekend. And I'm going to jet on out of here. Little grandkids are still over here. I'm going to play with them before they leave. And anyway, stick around for a couple more cool tunes. Happy birthday, Eddie Van Halen. Everybody else have a wonderful day. God bless. Until next time, this is Joe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.